So Google might actually be getting even more competition soon from OpenAI. So OpenAI obviously is one of Google's main competitors in AI, and with chat technology, image rendering, things like that. But now OpenAI just announced that they will be creating a Chrome alternative to compete with Google's browser, which is basically dominated the market for the last 10 to 20 years. So according to Reuters, the browser is slated to launch in the coming weeks. This is from 3 different sources and aims to use artificial intelligence to fundamentally change how consumers browse the web. It will give OpenAI more direct access to the cornerstone of Google's success, which is user data. One of the things that I've been talking about that Google has a leg up on the competition with is having more user data than just about any company. So they are trying to close that gap on user data while also possibly getting advertising revenue, or however they're going to monetize this browser remains to be seen. So they already have ChatGPT, that is, already has adopted, they already have a 500 million weekly active users. So a lot of people think that this is going to cut into Google's search in general as is. And then Google, of course, added AI mode to their search. So it's looking less and less profitable for people to rely on search results the way they normally could in the past for getting traffic to their websites. But now we have another alternative. Another thing that we found out about this is, according to livemint.com, the browser will actually allow agents to perform tasks for users by keeping user interactions within its own interface. Instead of you just searching something and then reading the results, it may actually perform actions as an AI agent. This could be the next evolution of the internet. That's what OpenAI seems to be aiming for. And this literally could be just a few weeks away. Now, this news, from what I've seen from all the sources I've looked at, just came out today. And so far, Google is up, along with many other major tech stocks, at about 1.3%. Google is actually up about 1.3% today, just like many other stocks. After the tariff stuff got announced the last couple of days, most stocks had been down. But this news, again, just dropped, and a lot of people probably haven't seen this yet. So it'll be interesting to see how their stock looks on the 10th, tomorrow. Now, you may see some people commenting about this saying, well, what if this could actually end up being a positive? What if Google still maintains mostly a monopoly on this, but then ChatGPT or OpenAI creates this browser that allows them to have more of a legitimate competitor, and maybe that helps them avoid some of these future antitrust lawsuits, which are claiming that basically Google has a search monopoly. So there are other browsers out there, but Chrome has still just dominated the market for years and years and years. And now OpenAI, which has proven that ChatGPT can take away from traditional search, getting, again, like 500 million users a week, then if their browser is in fact successful like their chat is, this could possibly hurt Google in terms of their search percentage, but also help them avoid some lawsuits. So there could be a positive in a way by creating more competition. Now, we can also talk about how Google's been doing, how it's done as an investment. Year to date, not looking very good. I mean, they've had some steady progress since April. Obviously, a lot of stocks were going down the first quarter of the year. But over the past full year, still not great. You're down 6.54%. Over the past 5 years, still pretty solid returns, but not that much different really than the S&P 500, which if you look at over the past 5 years, just under 100%, which obviously would have been usually a safer pick by having just the top 500 companies. So we know Google has obviously been one of the best tech stocks over the past couple of decades. The question is, what are they doing for the future? Well, they are obviously one of the top 2 or 3 in AI right now. AI chat, they came out with a free version with Gemini that really competes with ChatGPT. And you also have Waymo, which is a totally different industry that could easily multiply and upend the entire transportation industry and make it where a lot of people don't even have to have their own vehicle anymore, because Waymo and some of these others, Tesla's in this race as well, but they've had their problems. Many people consider Waymo to be in the lead. They've been around and working on autonomous driving since 2009, and Google actually bought this startup and actually owns the rights to Waymo. And they actually partnered with Uber, so you're taking the existing user base of millions of people with Uber and combining it with self-driving cars, and now they're starting to actually allow people in certain cities, like for instance Austin, Texas and Atlanta, Georgia in the US, where people can actually get an autonomous vehicle via Waymo to take them from point A to point B using the Uber app. So this is one of the future industries that Google could end up dominating. So there's definitely some positivity there in terms of their long-term outlook. Obviously, Veo is changing the game in terms of text to video creation. They actually added audio recently as well, from what I've seen. Obviously, a lot of people don't have access to this. It costs about $250 a month to get the full access to their AI studio, which includes Veo 3. But a lot of people are making YouTube channels, making all sorts of content with this right now. It's only going to keep getting better. So in terms of AI and autonomous ride sharing, they could easily be in the lead in both categories, or at least top 2 or 3 in both huge industries for the future. Now, if you look at hedge funds actually had a decrease in shares, more sell volume than buy volume. 94% sell versus 6% buy in Q1 of 2025. It remains to be seen how Q2 is going to look. We should get that very soon. But insiders bought a lot of Google stock in May 2025 at a 99% buy percentage, 360 million shares versus only 2.07 million sold. They still have a buy rating for the most part here at 83%, 72 ratings. It's a very good sample size for analysts on Robinhood. And then 16.7% say you should hold. 0% are saying to sell Google right now. They still have a pretty solid forward PEG ratio if you want to look at the price to earnings and growth over time. A 1 is usually a pretty good value for your money. It's kind of right on par with where the price should be. And once you get, multiples over 1, you're talking about something that's probably overvalued. Once you get under 1, then you talk about something being undervalued in terms of price versus their earnings growth over time. So they're right kind of in the properly valued PEG ratio. Again, this is only one specific number or indicator that we use. If you look at their actual PE ratio, it's very good. It's a 20. A lot of people judge around that 20 to 30 mark when it comes to a PE ratio and whether it's too high or not. Now, you can't just necessarily judge everything by the same PE ratio, because some companies might have a really high PE ratio and be getting you ridiculously high returns. Like a lot of tech stocks are like that. But this is one of the top tech stocks over the past decade, and they have a generally pretty low PE ratio. They also have almost 0.5% in a dividend yield, which you're not really buying Google for the dividend, but a lot of people won't even buy a stock unless it has a dividend. So that's another thing that kind of helps stabilize it. They have pretty solid quarterly financials year over year with rises of substantial percentage points all across the board in revenue, net income, diluted EPS, and net profit margin. They beat on EPS by 39.74% in March 2025. They also beat on revenue at 1.21%. If you look at their balance sheet, price to book isn't too crazy in terms of how high it is. Many tech stocks have a much wider range than other industries. You have to kind of compare it historically to different industries, and you can also compare them to other stocks currently, like other tech stocks that would compete with Google, like maybe Microsoft or something like that. But price to book isn't really too high. Some good tech stocks might still be close to double digits in many cases. So no red flags there. And I really do believe they're a well-managed company. If you look at what their employees say about them, they give them a very high score for working there. 85% of Google employees recommend working here to a friend. Over 3/4 of Google employees recommend the CEO or approve the CEO. So great numbers all across the board. It's very hard to find any company that's publicly traded that has better scores than these. So even though this news is kind of concerning for Alphabet and Google stock, I think Google will be okay. I have it as a hold rating right now. I wouldn't sell my Google stock yet. Obviously, this is not financial advice, but I don't know if I would buy more right now either. I'm still kind of waiting to see how some of this plays out. We did have kind of a dip right here, maybe as some of this news came out, could be, but it'll probably be interesting to see the coming days as this news comes out, and also in the coming weeks if OpenAI does drop this new browser, if it really is some sort of chat agent type of browser that actually is some sort of next step above what Google's current AI browser looks like. We'll see if it's really that much better or not, or that much more innovative. And then we'll see how that affects Google's stock. But like I said, this could also help with some of their antitrust lawsuits. Obviously, it's hard to say. I'm not a lawyer. But we haven't seen huge returns over the past 5 years necessarily. I mean, pretty solid over the course of 5 years. But if you look at, maybe the past year or so, it could be a little bit better compared to some of the other tech stocks you might own. But if you look at Waymo, you look at Gemini, you look at VO3, you look at some of the things that they're doing, there's still a lot of positivity there.